Okay, hi everybody. I'm back. My last day out of the office, or not out of the office, out of the classroom. I'll be back in tomorrow. So we're going to continue with what we started with on I guess last week, and then continue yesterday, and then today. All right. So we're going to learn how to control the position of our sprites and our text in the inside the graphics window a little bit more precisely, a little bit more accurately. Okay. So precise positioning. Setting the position of a graphic by choosing the correct attributes to use. We've used the X attribute for horizontal positioning and the Y attribute for vertical positioning so far, but in the TSAP library provides us with other attributes to use with window sprites and text. So if you were to come up here, you could search for that in the Code Assist, and there's a bunch more stuff in there that you could use as well. But right now we're just going to focus on the positioning. Okay. Okay, so the graphics window instances and the sprite instances both have a center X and a center Y attribute that we can get. Okay, we can set them for sprites, but not for the window, since we can't move the window around. Right? Remember when by default I think it's 400 by 400 pixels, so it's centered automatically for us. Okay, the X and the Y attributes point to the top left corner, while the center X and the center Y attributes are the very middle of the window or the sprite, depending on how you're using it. Okay, note that for sprites, you should imagine an invisible rectangle around the image when thinking about the corners and the center. So I think I would hope that everybody has seen that before. When you click on an image, like in a document or something like that, it always has a border that is really just the edges of the image itself, the sprite in this case. Okay. All right. I know I'm going through this kind of fast, but there's a time limit on these videos, so I want to make sure I get this stuff done. So, but if you need to pause or go back, just go ahead and do that, and I'll just continue with the speed that I'm going at now. Okay. Text label instances are a little bit different. In addition to the X and the center X, we can also use a right X attribute for text. When would center X and right X be helpful for positioning text? When do you think you would? When do you think that would be helpful? So think about that for a moment. If you need to pause, you can pause it and think about it. But I'll continue. The center X would help when the text is center aligned. And the right X would help if the text is right aligned. Okay. Note that for text, the Y attribute is the imaginary line that the first row of text sits on, not the top edge. This is called the first row's baseline. Why do you think we use baseline instead of top left corner for this text? Okay, pause again, think about it if you need to. I'll just continue. Different letters are different heights. We don't want the Y position of the text box to keep changing depending on what letters that we put in there. Okay. Let me switch over to code here real quick. Make sure you can see everything. Let me shrink that down. There we go. Let me shrink that down. You don't need to see that. Okay. Our goal is to write a message on a whiteboard such that the whiteboard is in the center of our window and the message is in the center of the whiteboard. Go ahead and open up the precise positioning assignment. I think there's just one in here. There is, yeah. It's just this single code project here. Let's see here. Let's run the program so you see what it looks like and what it does. Okay, no homework. So we have it at the top. Looks like it's left aligned, but the text is going off the whiteboard. Okay. We've already got the message in the whiteboard drawing, but everything is sitting up in the top left corner. So right now what we need to do is we need to align that and put it in the place that is better fit for that. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy and paste this information in here. Oops, not all that. Okay. All right, so we got board.center X and board.center Y. Okay, board.center X equals window dot center X, and then board.center Y equals window.center Y. So we created two variables and use window center in the X and Y location. So let's see what change that makes by adding these two variables on here. Okay, nothing. Oh, let me shrink this down so it's out of your way. There we go. Okay, any change yet? So what changed with those two lines of code? Okay, let's go back real quick and let me comment these out. Take a look at it again, see what it was. Oh, okay. So the whiteboard is upper left as well inside the graphic window as well as the text. I did notice that before. All right, let's get the comments off of there and run it again. All right, now the whiteboard is centered inside the graphics window. Good. Okay. So again, I'm going to copy and paste. Put the next line of text right there. Grab the next one. Put that right there. There we go. Now you can see. And everything else is, we imported the library. All this was already there, so you should be able to see everything here now. Okay, all right, so now we're text aligning. We've got a variable text.align, and we use the string center, and then text.center X equals board.center. So now we're centering the text on the board here. Okay, so let's run the program and see what it did. Okay, now the text is centered on the board, but it's still up pretty high in the Y direction. Okay. So while we can't get the vertical center of the text, we can still use the text.y to get it pretty close to the vertical center of the whiteboard. So let's go ahead and add that, this next part. Get a line there. Let's leave them separated a little bit. And now let's run the program again. All right, there we go. So we took the original image, the text, the whiteboard, and the graphic window that were all, the board and the graphics, the text was up in the upper left-hand corner. Our first code moved everything up, moved the whiteboard to the center. And then our second change is move the text into the center of the whiteboard, okay? All right, so that's align whiteboard and text. So we got board.centerX variable equals window center X. So that moved the whiteboard into the center of the X, and board.centerY variable moved the center of the whiteboard or chalkboard or whiteboard, whatever it is center of the Y. So that this text right here centered the whiteboard, okay? And then we came down, text align equals center, and then text.center X equals board center. So now we've moved the text into the center of the board on the X here. And then the next line, actually, we can go ahead and delete that and put those together since those two centered it on the X and the Y. Okay, so this last bit of code that we had moved the text from the upper part of the whiteboard down to the center. Okay. All right, let's go back to the slides. I'll do the same for you, so you can actually see what I'm doing. All right, so in the visualize slide here, we've got the text center underscore X, and then the text dot X, text dot Y, text dot right, and so on. Okay. All right, so all of these attributes are documented with the TSAP and Code Assist, just like the X and Y. So sometimes it takes some trial and error position graphics where we want them by just changing a little bit here and a little bit there. And sometimes sketching things on paper, especially graph paper, can save you a lot of time. That's that pseudo coding that we worked on in the fall to help you kind of place these things where you need to place them. All right, so I'm going to pause this here, and I'm going to open up the next lesson. So hang on one second. Actually, before I bring up the next one, so that was the precise positioning coding technique demo. There is the next one that you'll be working on is the precise positioning 1. You guys can work on that, and then I'm going to move on to the draw order coding technique demo in the second part of this video. Let's see. Actually, you know what? I'm going to end it here, and I'm going to create a second